So we're applying a short arm splint for a distal radius fracture, and we're using some material called cotton waffle, sort of a cast padding. And what I like to do is really pad up the area around the thumb and the first web space. And the purpose of that is to make sure that there's plenty of cushion in that area so that the plaster or fiberglass or whatever you use for your splint is not pressing on that area or pressing on the skin, so it provides padding. This is where the fracture is, right in here. In this area, I don't like to use a ton of padding, because if you use too much padding, then you don't have as good a mold. So I do basically one little overlap here with the padding. And then what I do at the end of my splint, I wrap it about 5 times around the arm, again to create a nice little area of padding. Okay, so again, there's nice cushion in and around the first web space and the thumb, and nice cushion at the base right there. This is a stack of plaster, so these are plaster slabs that are about 10 slabs thick, and that's usually enough to provide some good support. And you can simply rip it so that it fits them appropriately. And sometimes I rip out a little area for the thumb as well. And then you dip it in some hot water or warm water or lukewarm water. That helps it set up a little bit faster. Squeeze out the excess. And this process here is called lamination. Just kind of smoothing out the plaster here. And this tilts your arm back just like that for me. So I place it on the bottom of the wrist where we're looking for support. And then I may take another little waffle there and kind of wrap that around the plaster. That secures that in place. The most important thing when applying a splint is that you really need it to be comfortable. You don't want the plaster or the fiberglass or whatever you're using to be directly on the skin. But you don't want too much padding, because then the plaster or the fiberglass loses its ability to hold the fracture. So then I take an ace wrap like this, usually a 3-inch ace wrap, and I cut a slit in it like that. That slit goes into the first web space, and then I start wrapping the wrist. And that just allows a prettier looking splint. And it doesn't usually take much, usually maybe takes 1 2-inch ace or 1 3-inch ace to complete a short arm splint in most people. Okay, we hold it there for a minute and it'll set up over the next 5 minutes or so. And that's how you apply a short arm splint for a distal radius fracture.